Oh, that's hot. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Throws you off when I have to do Tuesdays, huh? Yeah. You know the cool thing, what I think is pretty cool? It is cool when you pastor a church where your office days, this is your attire. I think that's pretty cool. Just saying. Just throwing that out there. Also, for anybody who picks up this video today or tomorrow or later, whenever you see it, I was having a little trouble with my phone on Sunday. I don't know what it was, but for some reason my phone, when I go back to watch the service from Sunday, it won't play it. And I'm just wondering if anybody else has issues. I think it's just my phone. Maybe a little glitch somewhere, but let me know if you're having issues with that, okay? All right. So with that said, I'm going to jump right in. Maybe some folks will jump on. Maybe you'll be watching this at a later time, but I want to go a little deeper. That's what we do on Mondays or Tuesday mornings around 10-ish. Here on our church page, we go a little bit deeper from Sunday. And this past Sunday, we had a message. It was called, what was it called? A fruitful person is a dangerous person. And the whole idea is we're going through a series on spiritual warfare. And the premise was that someone who is living out consistently the fruit of the Spirit in Galatians 5, they're a dangerous person to the kingdom of darkness, because a life like that looks like Jesus and loves like Jesus draws people out of the darkness and into the light. That was the whole premise. And if you know the fruit of the Spirit, it's interesting that Paul says fruit singular instead of fruits plural, the fruit of the Spirit, almost as if it's all, like one conglomeration, that they all work hand in hand. But it starts with love, right? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. It starts with love, and the word that is used in the Greek for love, with regard to the fruit of the Spirit, is agape, the God kind of love, the supernatural, selfless, unconditional, trying to get this glare off my face, love of God. It's not a human kind, it's not a friendship kind, it's not a romantic kind, it's the God kind of love, the kind of love that is sacrificial, unconditional, that makes the decision to love regardless of whether I'm getting a phone call. So anyway, the unconditional love of God, all the others flow from that. Real quick, I want us to think about just for a minute what that looks like. What Jesus, all through his ministry, hey, good morning, Rhonda, all through his ministry, he gives examples of what agape love looks like. One of the stories that he tells is out of Luke. I think it's Luke chapter 10, the Good Samaritan. You probably have heard it. You probably know it. Brenda's sending me messages. She wants to know if I want something from Walmart. That's funny. Clearly she's not watching the live stream. Love you, honey. So anyway, Luke 10, Good Samaritan. The story goes like this. So Jesus is talking to Jesus is talking to Jewish people, and he's telling this story. So a Jewish leader comes to him and says, what's the greatest commandment? And Jesus is like, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbors yourself. And so the Jewish leader wanted to justify himself. So he's like, oh, well, who's my neighbor then? Like, who do I have to love? And then Jesus tells this story. So the story is that a guy is going on a journey, and he gets jumped, he gets beat up, he gets robbed, his clothes stripped off of him, like taken for everything, and he's left in the side of the road in a ditch, bleeding, left to die. Okay? The assumption is that he's a Jewish man, because, right, Jesus is talking to Jewish leaders, so that's the assumption. And so the guy's laying there in the side of the ditch, left to die, naked, bleeding, and a priest walks by and sees the guy, and for whatever reason, whether it's ceremonial uncleanness or he's got business to take care of or more important things to do, he passes the guy up and just leaves him in the ditch. Clearly he has more spiritual important things to do, right? And then next guy that comes by is a Levite. Okay, he's also sort of a religious leader. He's in line sort of with the priests, and so he, same thing, sees the guy. I mean, this is his brother, right? I mean, this is his fellow Jew, his fellow brother, and he sees a guy and just walks on by. And Jesus says, then here comes a Samaritan. Samaritan comes in, comes walking by, and stops, sees the guy, stops, goes way out of his way to help the man, right? Cleans up his wounds, puts something on him, puts the guy on his donkey, takes him to an inn, gets him all set up with a room so he can rest and heal. He goes to the manager of the inn, and he says, look, here's payment for the guy's room, take care of him, any other cost that he incurs while he's here. When I come back through, I'll pay it. So keep a tab, I'll cover his bill. It's a beautiful story, a beautiful act of selflessness and love. It's such a cool thing. The thing that we miss, though, is the animosity that was between Samaritans and Jews. Okay, Jews didn't like Samaritans. Samaritans didn't like Jews. It was bad. It was hostile. It was a stay away, no touch, they're no good kind of relationship. It was as hostile as anything we could think of in our culture today. All right, so not to be offensive, but I was thinking, how can I relate this to today? And I just came up with this scenario, right? So the scenario almost looks like this, okay, in our Christian evangelical world. So there's a good, upstanding citizen, Christian guy, probably votes Republican, probably has just the typical stereotype, right? He's got a red MAGA hat on. He's walking down the road on his way to a Republican convention or some conservative cause, and he gets jumped. These hooligans come, they jump him, they beat him up, they take his hat, they take everything, they strip him, they leave him laying on the side of the street in the gutter, bleeding and dying, right? And a little bit later, here comes a pastor. Pastor comes by, looks at the guy, and is like, oh, man, I'm on my way to church. I ain't got time to stop and deal with this. I got more important stuff to do. I got spiritual stuff to do. And he keeps on walking, leaves the guy there, right? And then next, somebody, I don't know, soccer dad, soccer mom on her way, upstanding citizen on her way to a pro-life rally, comes by, looks at the guy, right? She's going for this great cause, right? She's going to hold signs and support, and which is a very good thing to do. So she sees the guy and she walks on by. She ain't got time for this. She's got a pro-life rally to be at, right? And then finally, this illegal immigrant who's kind of in hiding, right? He's an illegal immigrant, or however you want to play it out. He's an illegal immigrant. He has a Build Back Better hat on. He's on his way to a BLM rally. I mean, can you get any further apart, right? I'm just trying to create this stereotype scenario, but he's walking by and he sees the guy. He stops. He's like, man, I can't leave this guy like this. He takes care of him, bandages his wounds, takes him to a hospital, gives him some money, pays for his bills, whatever, right? And Jesus says to this religious leader, after he tells the story, he says, Which one had mercy on the guy? And the Jewish leader said, well, the Samaritan, or we would say the illegal Build Back Better guy, right? And Jesus said, you go and do likewise. So what's the point? What's the point? The point is not that the Samaritan is being elevated because they were a Samaritan. The point is that you can be as religious, spiritual as you want, as churched as you can be, do all the right religious things. But if you don't have love in your heart that moves you to action, then it really doesn't mean anything. It was a warning against religion over deep, Christ-like, genuine, heart transformational love. That was the point of the story, right? The religious leader wanted to know, what do I have to do? What's the technicality? Who do I have to love? And Jesus' response was basically, all your religion means nothing, religious leader. All of it means nothing unless there is genuine, agape, Christ-like love welling up, controlling, guiding, living in your heart that is real and genuine and moves you to action, right? It's what Rhonda just said. It's what Rhonda just put down there. Rhonda, I have it ready. I want to read this out of 1 Corinthians 13. Then I'll wrap it up. But so Paul's talking about this very same thing in 1 Corinthians 13, okay? So if you want to go deeper this week, I give you a lot to think about, and I'm going to top it off with this. Here's the cherry on top, okay? 1 Corinthians 13, talking about love. The transformational, unconditional, supernatural love of God. Paul says this, if I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, okay, that's a supernatural act, right? But do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. I'm just making noise. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and I have a faith that can move mountains, I mean, we would look at somebody like that as like, wow, what a spiritual superstar. That's what I want to be. If I do all that stuff, but do not have love, I am nothing. Wow. That, without love, equals nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but do not have love, some translations say give my body to be burned, that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Wow. Motives really matter. Huh? And then he goes on to that very beautiful poem, love is patient, love is kind, right? If I do all this religious stuff but don't have love, it's nothing. I'm bankrupt. I have nothing. So here's what I would like to ask of you, right? So the whole point of this is to have a conversation going for us to encourage each other and challenge each other through the week. So I want to ask you in the comments below, as you're going deeper with these thoughts, Luke 10, 1 Corinthians 13, what can we do as followers of Jesus? We talked about cultivating the fruit on Sunday. What can we do specifically? What are some specific things we can do, that you have found success in doing to cultivate the agape love, the supernatural, unconditional love of God in your heart? How do you cultivate that? Or what steps can you take to cultivate that more? That's the first thing I'd like to hear from you. And then the second thing, how do I want to say it? The second thing I think would be, how have you seen this kind of love in action? Whether toward you from somebody else, or God creating that love in you, a love that maybe, there was a certain group of people you used to really not like, and now God's given you a love for them, or a person, or just people in general. It's been hard for you to love people, but now God's done this change in your heart, and you've become loving toward them, and you've seen the fruit. Okay, so number one, what can we do to cultivate that love in our heart more fully? And number two, when have you seen the agape love of God through yourself or another person in such a way that it really made an impact or a difference in your or somebody else's life? All right. That's awesome. So Rhonda's got the conversation started. All right, you guys can pick it up when you've had some time to think about it. Love you guys. It's good seeing your names pop up on here. It's cool to hang out with you on a Tuesday morning. Anyway, have a wonderful week. Looking forward to hearing from you, and talk to you later. Love ya. See ya.